July 5th, Erica Johnson went to work, but said that she didn't feel well. She had a coworker take her to the Cape Coral bus station, and she was last seen there that day at 5:37 p.m. Fast forward to July 8th, 5:21 a.m., she is seen at the same bus station with her belongings, taking that non-stop bus to Tampa. Her belongings including luggage, a travel pillow, and a pet bunny that you see here. That's the July 8th snapshot from the surveillance picture. These are some of the pictures that we have as well from the Cape Coral Police Department's social media accounts. She has blonde hair, as I understand it, or brown hair with blonde highlights. Let me make sure I have this right. Blonde highlights and brown hair. And she was last seen again on July 8th at 5:21 in the morning. July 14th is when she was reported missing by her family. Now, that day, when she was reported missing by her family, police were called out to 621 Cape Coral Parkway East after a member of her family reported her missing. The report says that Johnson was renting a room at that complex. Police went inside. They found all of her belongings except, of course, her missing pet rabbit. Investigators were told that somebody saw Johnson go into the building a week before with a black suitcase. Now, our NBC affiliate, WBBH, says that Johnson has been very difficult to track down because she doesn't have a bank account, she doesn't have a car, or any known social media. Now, she does apparently have a phone, but she scarcely uses that phone. And so tracking her down has been extremely difficult. This is a 36-year-old mother out of Cape Coral. We're asking, of course, folks to share to help here on social media. And I'm going to kind of go through my reporter's notebook here to kind of break down what we know about this story, in addition to what police have communicated to the public. She uses public transportation often. Her getting on buses was not anything out of the ordinary. What is out of the ordinary is the fact that she hasn't been seen since July the 8th and reported missing, of course, then on July 14th. So this is now going back several weeks, adding to this tremendous concern that has built up with the family. Again, she had her bags, a travel pillow, and yes, a pet bunny that she always had with her, or at least she was known to have in her residence when she, of course, was living at that complex at 621 Cape Coral Parkway East. She was supposed to have the pet rabbit there, but she, of course, then took it to the bus station on July the 8th. A couple of other notes here. Yes, her hair color is brown with blonde highlights. She stands 5 feet 8 inches tall, approximately 130 pounds, with green eyes. That bus station is on Southeast 47th Terrace, and that if anybody has any information, or if anybody has seen this woman, especially in the Tampa Bay area, because remember, it was a non-stop bus from Cape Coral to Tampa. If anybody has seen her, you're asked to call the Cape Coral Police Department at 239-574-3223. Again, that's 239-574-3223. Cape Police now, again, reading from the notes here, Cape Police said that the first warning sign actually occurred in June when Johnson's ex-husband said that she had missed an appointment to see her children. She sent a text saying that she had to work, but that missing a chance to see her kids was something very much out of the ordinary for her, not something that was in her normal behavior pattern. That really stuck with the family and noted that to police when, of course, they reported her missing. Now, Johnson's mother isn't really talking to the media just yet, at least in an on-camera capacity, but she did release a statement, and I'll read it here as follows. I would like to thank the people of Cape Coral and Fort Myers for their kindness and support in helping to locate Erica, and the Cape Coral Police Department for their efforts over the past few weeks. Erica is loved and missed by her family and friends who are devastated by her disappearance. We remain hopeful that she will be found safe very soon. So that's just about everything that we know here on this story. These are just a couple of the images that have been put out by the police department. There have been folks on social media who have been asking the police department to release more photos. A lot of that usually occurs in tandem with the family. So the police department has worked with the family to get the most current photos as possible. But this isn't somebody who is really all that very tech savvy, I think we could say. She's not very prevalent on social media. She's not really on her phone very much. So really, pictures that we have that are mostly current, the most current photos that we have of ourselves are usually located on our phones or on the phones of our loved ones, our family, our friends. And so with her not being on her phone all that much or using her phone all that much and not being anywhere on social media, there aren't that many photos that police can just grab from social media and start distributing to the media and to the public to say, hey, be on the lookout for this person. When you have somebody that isn't really that prevalent on social media, in this case, not on social media at all, reportedly, it becomes very difficult to have the most current photos. So the most current description that we have is 5'8", 130 pounds approximately, brown hair, blonde highlights. And these are, I want to kind of go through these pictures again. So this is a relatively somewhat recent photo. Here we have her wearing a mask and appearing to be on a phone. This is the July 8th photo where she's boarding that bus, that nonstop bus to Tampa with her belongings. And again, that's luggage. That's her travel pillow. Here it is again. This is from July 5th. And then this is from July 8th. Her pet bunny was also said to be with her as she boarded that bus to Tampa on July the 8th. So what we're going to do is we're going to try to take some questions and comments out of the Facebook Live and YouTube Live comment section. We'll try to get this one in the queue from Tammy. Let's bring up as many of these questions and comments as we can. If you use hashtag HJB on the left side of your screen, we can animate your comment or your question on screen. Cannot say as to the relationship with her ex-husband. I think that there's a lot of questions and comments about the relationship with her ex-husband. I can't really speak to that. I don't know. And we're seeing this comment here from Sandra Lynn, hashtag AJB shared in San Antonio, Texas, prayers that she is found safe and soon. And yeah, folks, just getting this out as quickly as possible to as many places as possible on social media. This tremendously helps law enforcement. And again, I want to get that number out there as quickly as I can. 239-574-3223. That's the Cape Coral Police Department in Cape Coral, Florida. Lucky asking on YouTube if her name is Lori. No, her name is Erica Johnson. And hopefully we can get that out there and get that hashtag going on social media as much as we can. Let's get to some of the Facebook comments. Hello to those of you joining us here on the WFLA Facebook page, WFLA JB Facebook page. Hello there to you. Tammy, hashtag HJB, was there issues between her and anyone else? Was she traveling or leaving for a reason, like to get away or something? When she's traveling with luggage, your mind immediately goes to, okay, is she leaving for a particular trip? Is she visiting somebody? Is she visiting a family member, a friend? Is she going on vacation? Does she just need to get away? Sometimes when stress builds up in life, you just need a change of scenery a little bit. You just need to get out there and go to a different place. But her being on public transportation wasn't anything all that strange, according to family and friends. She was known to use public transportation, like the bus system in Cape Coral, quite a bit. So her being on a bus isn't anything out of the ordinary. But her being gone now for a period of, well, let's see here, is that 4 weeks? She went missing on she was last seen July the 8th, so 3.5 weeks ago is when she was last seen and reported missing 6 days later by her family. And again, because she was known to be on public transportation quite a bit, that wasn't anything out of the ordinary, but not reporting to work and not and not being reachable by phone. She does have a phone. She's not on it all that much, according to the reports out of Cape Coral. She's not on social media, so she's using her phone primarily to communicate with others and not to really, share information or, post a lot on social media. So could she be a mother just trying to get away and get away from the stress of her life in Cape Coral? That's absolutely possible. But the family is starting to get quite alarmed. The police, of course, now investigating this as a missing persons case. This is something that is very much a high priority case for Cape Coral's police department. They've put out, of course, bulletins on social media. They've put out their post on Facebook. It's received 1,400 shares on Facebook, a lot of retweets on Twitter as well. So it's really important that we try to do our very best. The most important detail to me on this story is that bus trip being a nonstop. Now, if it's a Greyhound sort of bus trip and it's zigzagging a lot across the area and it's making a lot of stops along the way, well, look, that means that she could be in a variety of different places. But the nonstop bus trip to Tampa means that she got on that bus, she went to Tampa, or now look, probably by now they would have interviewed the bus driver to ask if there was any unscheduled stops that passengers got off the bus anywhere between Cape Coral and Tampa. If they're saying it was a nonstop bus trip to Tampa, then you have to at least go into this thinking that she made it from one end of the bus trip to the other, that she made it to Tampa. So now the question is there any surveillance video in Tampa at the bus station where that bus actually went to? Is there going to be video of her getting off that bus? And we've got our own Justin Shecker. He's going to be following up on this story. He's going to be looking into this tonight and trying to find out if we have any surveillance video in the area that captures her actually arriving in Tampa. We don't know with certainty that she made it to Tampa. We do know that she got on the bus that left Cape Coral, made it to or destined for Tampa. And that's the last that, of course, anyone has heard from Erica Johnson. We can't say. I understand. So this is always going to be prevalent in our comment section when we hear about missing persons cases. I want to bring in this comment from Katie Murphy, #KJB. I think this could be a domestic violence story for her safety. She may have just left to save herself. We don't know if there's any history of domestic violence, if there's any history of abuse. There's so many wrinkles that people are so normally associated or just accustomed to connecting to missing persons cases. So many missing persons cases are connected to problems at home. And that doesn't necessarily mean that it's a domestic violence situation. Problems at home can also be financial, not being able to pay the bills. How many people in our area are dealing with rising rent costs, rising everything? We're talking about inflation. I mean, we're talking about some historic inflation that is going on in this country. It has, of course, hit the Tampa Bay area. It has hit the state of Florida, as it has all states. Inflation is a big problem right now in this country. So there's all these different types of concerns that could lead to somebody picking up all their belongings and getting out of town, including financial, including domestic violence, including problems, yes, with family or the stress that builds up in day-to-day life. There's a lot of different things. We cannot say what it is that led to Erica Johnson getting on that bus right here that morning. It was really early in the morning, around 5:20 something in the morning, getting on that bus nonstop for Tampa. We just know that she hasn't been seen in 3.5 weeks and has been now reported missing for about 2 weeks. And it's becoming increasingly clear that this is a situation where you need to find her soon, and as soon as possible. We'll look for some other questions and comments in our Facebook Live and YouTube Live comment section. Let's go back over to YouTube for a quick moment. Miss Robin, #KJB, do we know if she had any mental health or addiction concerns? We do not. We don't know if that is part of this story. Yeah, Crystal Lutz, of course, we have Lutz here in the Tampa Bay area. Have they confirmed that she got off the bus in Tampa? That's something that we're looking into specifically tonight to find out if there's any video or any record of her getting off the bus in Tampa. Now, it's a nonstop. So the bus driver is going to go from Cape Coral to Tampa nonstop without interruption. However, if a passenger on that bus has an emergency and says that they need to get off for whatever reason, they're going to, of course, ask the bus driver to pull over so that they can get off. But that's something that would stick in a bus driver's mind. a passenger on a nonstop trip randomly asking to be dropped off on a particular section of the route. That's going to be remembered by that bus driver. So I can't. We're going to hopefully find out that answer tonight. Again, 8 on your sides. Justin Schecker of WFLA is working on this story. I want to encourage this again. You don't know how big of a deal it is, you hitting the share button. Social media works through shares and retweets and posting about a particular story using hashtags. So especially to those of you, YouTube isn't as much of a sharing platform as Facebook is. So Facebook, for those of you right now watching on Facebook Live, you can really help out this family. You can really help out the Cape Coral Police Department by clicking on the share button and exposing this story to your network of friends and family. It doesn't matter if you're in the Tampa Bay area or not. It just matters that we are raising awareness about this story, because every time that you click the share button, you know how social media works. Every time you click the share button, it opens up the opportunity for all of your friends, all the people that you're connected with on social media, to do the same. And before you know it, we have more and more eyeballs seeing these pictures, seeing this story. And all it takes is one person. All it takes is one key moment, perhaps in Tampa or elsewhere in the Tampa Bay area or beyond, a key moment of somebody recognizing this woman and saying, I think I saw her here, or I think I saw her there. Again, that phone number for the Cape Coral Police Department, 239-574-3223. Let's go back to Facebook Live and continue to take some questions and comments. The 2 photos of her, yes, somebody just commented. Yeah, this is a great comment from Lucy. Lucy, I'm going to get your comment in here. Again, if you use hashtag HJB, it lights up on my screen. It's brighter, so I can see and animate your comment. But there was a comment I just wanted to address here really, really quickly, noting that she's wearing different clothing in the 2 pictures, and that's for a reason. I want to explain what that reason is. Okay, let's pause this here. Okay, it's about to cross dissolve over. Let's go back a little bit. Okay, this is her on July the 5th. You can see her. She's walking away from the bus. The July 5th picture here isn't as important in this case, because she would be seen at the bus station 3 days later on July the 8th. So here we have her walking away from the buses, holding appears to be a plastic bag with some, I don't know if that's clothing, or she has some belongings. She also has what appears to be a green backpack or duffel bag that she has, kind of slung over her shoulder. She's also clearly wearing a mask here and a ball cap as well. And she's holding, now look, you have to assume that that's a phone. That appears to be a phone in her hand, holding it to her face, which of course is of note, because this isn't somebody who's on their phone a whole lot. She's not on social media, and she's, according to the reports out of Cape Coral, she's just not someone who's on her phone all that much. Again, 0 social media presence. So now this is, again, from July the 5th. The key photo in this case is the one that is right here. This is July the 5th now. And now we see her with luggage getting onto the bus. And again, she is said to have a travel pillow, her luggage, and a pet bunny, a pet rabbit. And that brings me to the next comment that we have with hashtag KJB, and it's from Lucy Collins. Lucy saying, surely someone on the bus may remember a passenger traveling with a bunny. But it's also 5:21 in the morning. And while what Lucy is saying here is true, we don't know how many passengers there are on this bus. It's a local bus route from Cape Coral to Tampa. It's 5:21 in the morning. And if you've ever been on like a Greyhound style bus, people are usually keeping to themselves for the most part. Now, look, all it takes is one moment where you look over and you're like, oh, look, this woman is traveling with a pet rabbit. That's interesting. That's somewhat memorable, because it's not something that you normally see on public transportation. But at the same time, how many times you get on, think of the last time that you were on a bus, or if you haven't been on a bus recently, think of the last time you were on a flight. You know, when everyone's seated on a flight and you're going down the row to find your row for the flight, and everyone's, for the most part, a majority of people have their heads buried in their lap. They're looking at their phones. So while it is entirely possible that someone might have caught her traveling with the bunny and might remember the rabbit that we're talking about here, again, you gotta track down the passengers on this bus. You have to contact them and say, you know, I think the big thing that we have to find out here in Tampa tonight from law enforcement or from the bus company is whether or not there was any video or any record of her getting off of the bus in Tampa, or if there's any record whatsoever of her getting off the bus before the bus completed its trip to Tampa, Florida. Also, as well, if there is surveillance video, where did she go? Which direction did she walk? Did she appear to meet somebody? Did she get in a vehicle? Look, she might not be on her phone all that much, but it doesn't take all that many taps or clicks to get, you know, an Uber or a Lyft from the area. And then, of course, it becomes an Uber or Lyft situation to contact the company to find out where exactly she went. Investigators are likely way ahead of us on this. It's just the media trying to catch up and figure out exactly, picking up the trail of breadcrumbs to pick up where she was last seen and whether or not there's any photo or video evidence of any kind or any witnesses that remember her getting off of this bus when it arrived in Tampa, Florida. Lucy, Katie, Tammy, thanks for your comments. Let's get a couple more in here before we wrap up the stream, but very, very important that we again try to get as many shares as possible on this story. And as a reminder, the very latest on this story is on WFLA.com, the WFLA app. Absolutely. I'm going to just tell Denise Loya with this question that we'll animate on screen. Denise Loya saying, can law enforcement track her cell phone location? Yes. Oh, yes. And that's something that can be used, and it has likely been done by law enforcement. However, that can only provide so much information. And if her phone was off, or if her phone, you don't know exactly when the last time that phone pinged. Again, we don't know. It's entirely possible this is somebody that did not want to be found. This is somebody that could be leaving and trying to, for a variety of different reasons, as we noted earlier. There's a lot of different reasons where somebody might want to just escape for a little bit or an extended period of time. We just don't know what was going on in Erica Johnson's life that leads her from one moment just, you know, going to work, seeing her kids, being part of her community in Cape Coral, and then the next, loading up her luggage, loading up her pet rabbit, getting on a bus for Tampa, and completely vanishing. So they can track her cell phone, and they likely have by now, but what information that actually provides is unknown. Let's go back to the Facebook Live comment section, trying to get one or two more in here. Joel, with this comment, we'll try to get that one on screen. And yeah, and Lauren, well, you know what, Lauren, I will tell you, look, let's get both of these comments. Let's start with Joel. Joel, #JB, does her parent know if they were fighting before she left? That's something that really only the Johnson family knows. And in the statement that they provided to our sister station Wink, that's not something that they made clear. And very, very commonly, that's not something that is made clear by the family early on in a missing persons case. You usually find out about those details later if there's any discord within the family or any trauma that has occurred within the family that would lead to somebody leaving at that early in the morning, at that early of an hour. Again, 5 a.m., having all your belongings packed, or a lot of your belongings packed, your pet rabbit, you know, in your luggage, and, you know, leaving town That's pretty early in the morning. And then, okay, the next one from Lauren. So there's different tracking technologies. Lauren, hashtag KJB, law enforcement can only triangulate an area, not necessarily a specific location. This is partially true. Normal triangulation is done to ping a phone in a particular area based on the triangulation of cell towers. I did a story about this a long time ago, but there's more than that technology, and triangulation science and triangulation technologies, as well as coupled with GPS technologies, have come a very long way. It is actually very, very common to be able to get a relatively good location off of triangulated data. It's not like it used to be many, many years ago where you would get a very broad range. The technology has improved, and it really depends on a lot of different factors with what service is being used, what the cellular provider can provide. But this is partially true. The area can actually be relatively small based on just the amount of cell towers and the advancements in cell tower technology over the last decade, which is, you can only hope that the technology, of course, can help. We'll go back over to YouTube really quickly. Gassiena, hashtag HAB, have law enforcement check the airport. Maybe she booked a flight after the bus ride. I would imagine, look, anytime that you have a missing persons case, if somebody tries to get on a flight, or if they try to really do anything, I'm talking about use their credit card, I'm talking about board a flight, board another bus. If they were to get arrested, these are things that are going to, of course, be on law enforcement's radar that can get tracked down very, very quickly. So I would imagine that they did. You have to imagine that, of course, law enforcement did everything that they could in checking the normal bases. And if she had hopped on a flight, I think that by now, with where this investigation is, they would absolutely know about it. Kathleen, hashtag HAB, what was the reason for her trip to Tampa? Do not know. Unclear. And we really only have her family and law enforcement as far as what they have collected, law enforcement and the investigation, what they have collected at this stage in the investigation to go by as to why she would board a nonstop bus to Tampa that early in the morning and leave everything behind. Or when I say everything, I mean, your kids, I mean, your job. You just hope that she's found safe and sound. Modest Man on YouTube, hashtag HAB. Have you guys interviewed anyone else on that same bus going to Tampa that might have seen her? We don't know how many people were on the bus. We don't know if anybody was on the bus. I mean, look, likely that there were other passengers on this bus, but we just don't know. And two, we don't have any record that would show us who else was on that bus, and I don't believe it's exactly legal for the bus company to just offer that to the media and say these are the people, these are the passengers on the bus. So it's very, very. We are very dependent on the bus company and very dependent on the bus station and law enforcement and the family in general here for information on this story. Folks, that's going to wrap it up for this stream. Here's the deal with where this goes from here. Very, very important. We are doing some digging on this story, but it really falls on folks online. It falls on you to help share this story as much as possible, getting those retweets and shares, those posts up. And I'm talking about all platforms. We'll try, of course, to spread this story as in as many places as possible. But it really comes down to what it comes down to more than anything, of course, is your willingness to click on the share button, click on the retweet button. We've got to get this story to as many places as possible because someone might have seen Erica Johnson when she got off that bus in Tampa, if she, in fact, did get off the bus in Tampa. But we're going to be having more on this story tonight in our 6 and 11 o'clock news. As of right now, we've got WFLA's Justin Checker assigned to this story. He's going to be tracking down some of this trying to track down some of the information that we're seeking here with this story, and perhaps we can provide you with an update later on tonight on WFLA.com, the WFLA app. That's where we'll leave you off. The very latest on this story, folks, is on our website, WFLA.com, the WFLA app. More ahead in the hours ahead on our website, our app, and here on WFLA Now.